as per the request of the Reg 11 and whatnot.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said, we'll get a chance to present that. I just need to get legal stuff out of the way first. Noted. Okie dokie, so time by my watch is 1920 on the 22nd of December 2022, and we're in interview room 2 at Mishra Police Station. This interview is being recorded, and a copy of the recording may be used should your case go to trial. I'm Police Chief Inspector 1484 Avium Solar, currently head of the Professional Standards team of the Los Santos Police Service. Today I'm going to be interviewing. State name for the record, please.
PC Mike Peters 2222.
For the allegation of assaulting an emergency worker in the execution of their duties. Now, before I discuss this with you, I've got to caution you. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something that you later on in court. Anything that you do say may be in evidence. Do you understand that? Mr. Peters, did you understand that?
Yes, sorry. I didn't hear that part.
Yep, no worries. Okie dokie. So during this interview, you do have the right to have a solicitor present. Would you like a solicitor present?
No.
Okay. If at any point throughout the interview you decide to change your mind, let us know. We'll stop the interview and we'll get you a solicitor, okay?
Alright.
You also do have the right to have a police friend present due to the internal misconduct side of things. You have chosen to exercise that right, is that correct?
Say that last part again, you keep
you have chosen to exercise that right, is that correct, to have a police friend?
Yes.
Okay, and today you've been represented by?
PC Oliver Johnson with the Farms Division.
Okay. So, let's just start from the beginning. So, the allegation is that on the 19th of December 2022, you assaulted a constable who was in handcuffs under arrest at the time. Talk to me about that.
I, PC Mike Peters, believe it was all done in jest, which I perceived as a two-sided due to the snowball throwing inside the garage from.
Apologies, you cut off there. You went snowball and that's it. Snowball.
Okay. I perceived as a two-sided thing due to him throwing snowballs at me before the little incident inside said garage where the incident occurred. Further, this was further by myself by him still throwing snowballs at me after him having presumably received medical attention and it having been allowed quite an amount of time since the incident inside the garage.
You cut off then?
Yeah, well, that was my response to the initial thing. I have more, I suppose, with further questions. Unless you want me to read the entire statement, but I'm not sure it will all fit with your question.
No, read the entire statement if you'd like. This is your interview. It's your chance to have your saying, put across your point of view of the incident.
Yeah, alright, well, I also am of the belief that he made absolutely no attempt to report this incident to any member of command prior to him being arrested for throwing snowballs by another police officer. This incident was only brought up as a retaliation for his arrest later that same day, which was no further action. The situation was then grossly mischaracterized and skewed to make into something it was. I will say that the outcome of the situation was not intended in the slightest. Hence, as soon as I realized I had knocked him to the floor, I made a great effort to ensure he received medical attention as soon as possible by both calling the ensure his unit knew of the situation and brought him there after I established the NHS was waiting for him at Pillbox Medical Hospital. That is my statement.
Okay. So let's ask a few questions about the incident. So, around what time was this incident occur?
It was the 19th of December. I don't remember exactly what time.
Evening, night, afternoon, roughly.
It was at the very least after 4. That's all I remember, I'm afraid.
After
I don't
4
remember.
p.m. or AM, sorry.
After 4 p.m. I'm not sure if it could be after 8. I'm not entirely sure.
Okie dokie. So, talk me through what had happened in the run-up to the incident. You said something about a snowball fight.
I was, at the time, standing with myself and Oliver talking to our inspector in regards to a new fleet purchase for CTSFOs. At which point I was a couple of them knocking me to the floor. And
Cut out there on what actually happened, knocking you to the floor.
oh yeah. Wait, sorry, say that again. What part did I cut out on?
What knocked you to the floor?
The snowball itself knocked me to the floor a couple of times. I then ran up to him after I saw him incapacitated or like laying down on the floor, presumably knocked down by another snowball, which was not thrown by me, just for the record. Then put him in cuffs and jokingly tried to have some banter with him, which, then, as per my statement, I perceived as two-sided at the time, although the outcome was not why.
So what you're trying to say is that you perceived it as consensual on both sides?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, talk me through this banter. What exactly happened?
I believe I just answered that.
Well, you say it was consensual banter on both sides and that he was injured, then he took to the hospital. What exactly happened between you and the officer in question?
Well, at the time, I put him in cuffs. I brought him behind the van and jokingly tried to lightly strike him with the baton as retaliation for the snowball throwing. He, at the time, was laughing, and from my perception, he took it as a joke.
So you cut a bit there. What was he doing as you slapped him?
He was both laughing and just like, I suppose, playfully talking. I'm not really sure how to explain it. And like trying to walk away, like, no, please don't hurt me, in like a sarcastic manner, stuff like that. As far as I perceived it, at least.
Okay. Why did you take him behind the van?
Because I know how banter like this can be viewed by other officers, and I didn't want to do anything to be reported for by other police officers that didn't know the context of the situation.
Okay.
Avian?
Yes?
Could you guys quiet down a little bit, because we're gonna use the other interview room as well, and very
Okay.
loud.
Can you still
Sorry
hear
for
me
interrupting.
whispering?
Yes. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear me as well. Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you as well.
That's
Cracking.
better.
Typical. I use this station because it's usually quieter, and it just happens the other day people decide they want to use it.
Yeah, I'm 0.5 out, mate.
Turn that off. Okie dokie. So you're talking about the van because you didn't thought other officers might misconstrue it, is that correct?
I thought other officers might misunderstand the situation and think of it as something which it was not, which in the end did happen, to my honest belief.
Okie dokie. As a firearms officer, do you receive much training in use of force?
I have been training people in use of force.
Okay. So what power gives you the right to use force as a police officer? What legislation?
Section 117 of PACE, common law, and Section 3 of... I forgot the act off the top of my head.
Okay. And do any of them give you the power to use force against an individual who's restrained?
No.
Okay. Do any of those cover this incident at all?
I don't think any of those powers give me the right to banter with him whilst he's in cuffs now.
Okay, okay. Are you aware of the Human Rights Act?
I have heard of it. I know a bit of it. I'm not confident really talking about it. Never been taught it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. What was the article relating to torture and inhumane punishment of prisoners? Are you aware of that?
I have some understanding of it, yes.
Okay. Would you? I believe it is Article 3 if you would like to look it up on your tablet at some point. But would you not say this could be counted as that? Article 3
I
prohibits
think
an
it's a
individual
bit-
from physical, mental, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment.
I think it's blowing it a bit out of proportion, claiming that I went out of my way to torture an individual. When, as I have stated, and I will continue to state, it was a playful banter 2 ways until he measure when he was arrested by a member of my command.
Mm-hmm.
I do also believe that if he did feel oppressed in any way, shape, or form, he would not be coming back and throwing snowballs at me later on to continue this banter.
Mm-hmm.
So I rigorously oppose any such notion that I was him or inhumanely treating him as a prisoner.
But you've said you didn't have a legal power to use force against him.
I think what
And-
he's saying is that he wasn't doing it in his capacity as a police officer, but in a capacity as a friend or another civilian speaking to another civilian whom were
Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
into his powers.
Yes, I did not banter with him as a police officer. It was more as a friend.
Okay. Were you on duty as a police officer at the time?
I was on call from the station in case of anything happening. I wasn't out patrolling.
Okay.
For clarity, we were not in an assigned consign as this was happening.
Okie dokie. Okay, okay. So you were on call in the station, that's correct. You weren't booked into a call sign. Why did you think it necessary to handcuff the officer in the first place?
I'm not entirely sure. It was just trying to have some fun with him after he was throwing snowballs at me. Didn't
Okay.
really think of any particular reason as to why I should cuff him or nothing like that.
All right. Why did you decide to use your baton against him? Why not throw snowballs back at him?
I didn't have any snowballs, and it was just meant to be banter. I wasn't planning on striking him any harder, nothing like that.
I mean, your baton's there as it's ultimately a weapon. It's there for your protection and to allow you to safely do your duties. You don't see how it's a bit of an escalation to some snowball. You just strike him with a baton, even light.
I was aiming to strike him lightly, and I misjudged how much he would be able to be struck. If that makes sense. I didn't mean to cause him any harm. I didn't use it to its fullest potential.
Mm-hmm. Okie dokie. So I've got nothing else to ask at this moment in time. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I conclude the interview?
Just a question regarding the suspension.
Go on.
Will that be lifted or will I remain suspended?
You'll be suspended until the conclusion of the misconduct proceedings. The plan is I'm going to put my recommendations forwards later this evening about what should happen. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Anything else?
Was that all done then?
Yep, that's everything. The time
Alright,
is
so-
19:35. I'm concluding this interview. Right, if you come, I'll escort you out and then I'm free to go.